Welcome to News on Canal the English with me, Annette Effeti Essome. We begin with our main stories. Cameroonian youths across the country over the weekend celebrated the 51st edition of the National Youth Day in a spirit of patriotism. In this newscast, we will bring you highlights of celebrations in some parts of the country. Today is being observed as World Radio Day under the theme, Radio is You. And out of the country, 6 journalists in Ivory Coast have been charged for spreading false information. Developments of these and more would be yours right ahead. It was a colorful Youth Day celebration that held in Yaoundé, Cameroon's political capital, where Cameroonian youth celebrated in team spirit, patriotism, and above all, love for fatherland, which has been prescribed as ingredients to lead the nation to emergence. Beatrice Gamo tells us more.
For the over 28,960 marchers in 2 modules. The opening bouquet announces it is the 51st edition of the National Youth Day, the giant flag of the country, and banner by the youth parliamentarians. Then the theme of this year's celebration, youths and the challenges of building an exemplary, indivisible, strong, an emergent nation. Basic education took the relay in the rhythm of patriotic songs in French and in Bolo. The 7 subdivisions, one after the other, made their presence felt, and each time with symbols of the nation and other signs like these stars held high. In secondary education, the messages call for a stop the use of drugs and narcotics, HIV/AIDS, and others. The march past train continues with teachers training institution, then the higher institutions of learning, the National Institute of Sports and Physical Education, INGS, professional schools, public like private, in varied different fields. 18 structures with social centers and those of the informal sector were not absent. So too, the youth movements. Youths in the firefighter squad, the Association Against Violence to Men amongst many. The youths of political parties crowned the show. Parties here, those represented at the National Assembly, the NUDP, the UPC, and the CPDM. All this before the watchful eyes of some members of government.
The President of the Republic has said everything, has given them the message he had for them, and I'm sure that the youth has understood him and expressed their attachment to the nation, their attachment to our country, and they are ready to bear the emergence of that country.
Parallel attraction is a trophy of the just ended African Cup of Nations display in front of the Tribune at the Yaoundé 28th May Boulevard.
Close to 104 nursery, primary, secondary and secondary schools in the Nun Division, West region of Cameroon took part in this year's edition of the Youth Day celebration in Koutaba subdivision. Particularly, special prizes were awarded to best students by the senior divisional officer, as we hear in this report with Crystal Katala.
Long live multiculturalism. Long live the 10 regions of Cameroon. Long live the President of the Republic. These are some of the messages transmitted by the youth of the Koutaba subdivision in the Nun division on the 11th of February. Pupils and students of the nursery, primary and secondary schools also demonstrated their patriotic engagement through songs and majorettes. The President of the Republic is the overall boss. So when he takes a decision, we have to help him to transmit that decision to the youth. So that is what we have done during the celebration of the 51st edition of the National Youth Day here in Koutaba. In Fumban, over 104 schools, both public and private, took part in the march past. Political parties and associations were also part of the celebration. Special prizes were awarded to the best students by the administrative officials present during the ceremony. It is worth noting that this 51st edition of the National Youth Day was celebrated on the theme Youth and the challenge of the construction of an exemplary nation, strong, indivisible and emerging.
Outstanding students in the Douala 3 subdivision have been awarded prizes for hard work. The award ceremony, organized by the divisional officer for Douala 3, is an annual event out to encourage students to work harder in school. Ambo Gladys.
This special meal is prepared for the best students who distinguish themselves during the first term of the current school year. As a tradition, after the march past on Youth Day, the divisional officer for Douala 3, El Hash Njoya Zakaria, extends the celebration by awarding prizes to the best students. He called on the youths to put into practice the head of state message, which urges them to be daring, courageous, and take initiatives.
Je voudrais ici féliciter ces jeunes qui sont là.
I want to use this opportunity to congratulate these young men who are here. They are not here because we love them so much. They are here because they are the best in the subdivision who worked hard. So that's why we have decided to share this meal with them.
Avec les meilleurs, les jeunes qui travaillent durement.
The best students in each school were handed over books and other gifts from the divisional officer to encourage them. Parents have lauded the gesture. I am very happy. I do not know what to say. It's God's gift. Government Bilingual High School, Bobongo Petit Paris, received the special prize for obtaining the best results in the littoral region and the second in the country, as published by L'Office du Bac. Local artists and musicians also thrilled invitees with their special melodies.
Away from Youth Day celebration, and we move straight to Nanga Eboko, where a widow of 82 years old is presently receiving treatment at the Nanga Eboko District Hospital after she was raped by an unidentified young man. Reports say the grandmother, on her way from the farm, was brutally arrested and taken to a nearby bush. The woman was only discovered 2 hours later in a deplorable state in the Ambang neighborhood by a notable of the village. The author of the abominable act is on the run. Still on our societal page, today is being observed as World Radio Day. The 6th edition is being commemorated under the theme, "The Radio is You." In the following write-up looks at the importance of the radio today. In the face of evolving modern technologies in the field of communication, the radio is still the most dynamic, reactive and engaging medium of communication. This year, focus of World Radio Day is on greater participation, audience and communities in the planning of radio broadcasting. What justifies the theme, Radio is You? The first World Radio Day in 2012 focused on exploring ways in which the radio can reach even the most remote and vulnerable communities. In 2014, it centered on gender equality and women's empowerment in radio, while youth and radio was the theme for 2015. Then in 2016, the theme was radio in the times of emergency and disaster. According to UNESCO, the radio provides an enduring platform to bring communities together on their way to work, at home, in offices and fields, even in times of peace, conflict, and emergencies. The radio remains a crucial source of information and knowledge, spanning through generations and cultures. Onto religion, female pastors of the Evangelical Church of Cameroon have been drilled on how to be good leaders in order to manage their communities. This was during a 3-day capacity building workshop that held here in Douala over the weekend. Crystal Katala has details.
Women pastors of the Evangelical Church of Cameroon say they have been well enriched and equipped to be leaders and to better manage their communities. This was during a 3-day capacity building workshop that held over the weekend in Douala Littoral region on the theme Feminine Leadership and the Management of Communities.
The seminar is within a project how to better the position of women within the church and within the society. And then for that, since they are in charge of churches, in charge of people they have to conduct within their community, they need to have capacity in relation with leadership. So we try to make them know the importance of animating their community, also the importance of do a planification.
Types of leadership, role of a leader, and management of parishes are some of the topics discussed during the workshop.
I think that sometimes we do bad things because we didn't know how to do it. But at the moment, I think that this seminar gives us many lessons, many things to do about managing people in our parish.
Since their consecration in 2001, women pastors of the Evangelical Church face several difficulties in the course of exercising their mission in the church and in the society.
Nous avons des difficultés.
Our first difficulty is our partner. It is difficult as a man to accept that a woman should be his leader. Generally, in ministries where women are leaders and men follow, it poses a problem. They have to make men to understand that, be it a man or a woman, what matters is the potential.
Et sur la collaboration pour mieux travailler.
These women pastors will therefore need to acquire moral, ethical and spiritual values in order to impact the life of their Christians. Prophetess Deborah in the book of Judges, chapter 4 verse 4 was quoted as a model to serve as example to the women. At the end of the 3-day workshop, attestations were distributed to participants. The workshop breaks a new dynamism for the women pastors of the Evangelical Church of Cameroon.
And out of the country, 6 journalists in Ivory Coast have been charged for spreading false information. Over in Kenya, 7 officials of the Doctors' Trade Union have been jailed for 1 month. And the North Korea ballistic missile launch has sparked confusion. This in this roundup. 6 journalists in Ivory Coast are expected to appear in court. They are charged with spreading false information following a mutiny last week by more than 2,000 soldiers demanding bonus payments. The journalists, who work for 3 opposition newspapers, reported on Saturday that the Ivorian government had agreed to pay the mutinous about $11,000 each to persuade them go back to work. This contradicted an official statement that the troops had apologized and no money was involved. A Kenyan court has jailed 7 union officials for a month over a doctor's strike that has crippled public hospitals for 10 weeks now. The 7 were handcuffed and driven to jail past placard-waving supporters who gathered outside the court. The High Court judge handed them suspension sanctions a month ago, but they ignored it. Jailing them for contempt of court, the judge said they had provided no reasons for the punishment to be deferred. North Korea says it successfully fired a ballistic missile on Sunday in a launch supervised by the president. This last ballistic missile test has been widely condemned. The US, Japan, and South Korea have requested an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council to discuss the incident. South Korea's defense ministry called it an armed provocation to test the response of US President Donald Trump. Well, it is here we round it off for this edition of the newscast on Canal English. Thanks for watching.